most recent example of how the communist Canadian government is removing dissident voices online while allowing extremists to roam free in our streets. I was over 27,000 followers on TikTok. What do you know? Bill C8, Bill C9 in the pipeline. Bill C9 would allow the federal government to remove your internet service from any Canadian if it's in the so-called national security interest, as well as redefining hate speech to a much broader definition to include so-called fomentation of detestation and vilification. I've seen a whole lot of fomentation of detestation and vilification on our streets that's getting a police escort. So I had 27,000 followers, fast-growing channel, waking a lot of Canadians up to what's going on in this corrupt country, how the commies are trying to destroy us through mass immigration that we know undoubtedly is bad for the average Canadian citizen, the amount of corruption that's going on, how they're letting criminals roam free and they're going after normal everyday Canadians. Issue after issue after issue, our economy is crumbling. 7.1% unemployment rate, 22% unemployment rate among young men. And you know what? They just took my TikTok down. And I knew it was coming down the pipeline with these commie laws that say that you're not allowed to speak your mind. They're going directly after free speech. They're going after our most fundamental right, our right to express ourselves. Because to any communist, it's unacceptable that somebody share views that they don't agree with. So now what they're doing is, and I see this across conservative media in Canada, your view counts are going down and they're just straight up banning your accounts. And it's such a farce calling calling us a democratic country, because in a democracy, in a free country, the fundamental pillar is that the citizenry has the right to express themselves. If you don't have the right to express yourself, you're not a human being. You're property of the state. And in Canada, what they're trying to do right now with the most intense, overreaching speech laws in the Western world. And that is saying something, because that is absolutely saying something, because in the UK, they've already passed the so-called Online Safety Act. The UK is almost as bad as Canada in different ways. Starmer and Carney, two guys cut from the same cloth, same type of communist weirdos. But so in the UK, they passed the Online Safety Act, which is now seeing about 30 Brits arrested a day, 12,000 a year for so-called hate speech online, them showing up to people's houses at 2 a.m. because they posted a meme that they didn't like. And now that's coming to Canada with Bill C8, Bill C9. The government of Canada, I kid you not, you don't laugh, you'll cry. They want to pass Bill C9, which will allow the federal government the ability to cut any Canadian's internet service, not give you any notification. They can just reach out to the provider and tell them to cut your service. Total commie bullshit. And Bill C8, which, like I said, expands the definition of hate speech, so it's so wide that the Liberals can decide whatever they don't like to hear is now deemed hate speech, and they're cutting people's accounts. I had 27,000 followers on TikTok, so the account is just gone, and I know it's related. I can't, as of right now, prove it directly, but it is absolutely 100% related to these new speech laws, where the Canadian government does not want Canadians to have the ability to watch anything, to get any news from non-state sponsored propaganda. They think that Canadian citizens should only be watching CBC, CTV, state propaganda news outlets. And it's embarrassing. If you watch any of those news, why would you ever watch this CBC? It's literally, you might as well just get a Liberal printout of what their talking points are for the day, and that's what you're going to see on the CBC. With 100% certainty. It's just whatever the Liberal talking points are, that's what you're going to get on CBC. They got $1.5 billion from the federal government. $1.5 billion. The Conservatives have already said they're going to cut that. So they're as desperate, they're as feral as ever. They see Carney's poll numbers tanking. The CBC on YouTube, it's embarrassing. They get like a tenth of the views of these conservative right-wing commentators who actually tell you the truth about what's going on. They get 1/10 of the views, and they're getting $1.5 billion a year. Billion, with a B, $1 billion a year from the federal government. And this is just the start of a purge. They've purged me. Of course, there are larger accounts than mine. But you watch, they're just going to continue to disappear. Canadian conservative commentators because it's what are they gonna, I don't know what the justification is gonna be. We used to be proud Canadians who would realize that free speech was a fundamental bedrock of Western civilization, but I'm not so sure anymore. So many Canadians are asleep to what's going on, and we're allowing so many immigrants into the country that overwhelmingly vote Liberal that we may already be too far gone, allowing 8 million people in the country the past 10 years. Just you look at our streets, like these hate rallies that you're seeing on our streets. You never would have seen this in Canada even 5 years ago. Never would have seen this. Now it's every day. You fake body bags on the street, fake blood on their hands. Oh wow, that's so Canadian. And if you say anything about it, the Liberal Party of Canada says, "Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're an Islamophobe." Total gaslighting, total manipulation, total denial of reality. But there's a high enough percentage of Canadians that go along with it. And now, like I said, I got banned over 27,000 followers on TikTok. I mean, that makes a big difference. You ban enough accounts on TikTok, and that's a lot of Canadians who don't have alternative news sources to turn to. So their only choice is to go to the propagandists that are totally in line with what the Liberal Party of Canada tells them to do. And they say, you're promoting hate speech if you criticize immigration policies that are indisputably horrible for the country. It's crazy. We're going full on 1984. War is peace. Love is hate. Weakness is strength. Welcome to Canada 2025. Please like, share, subscribe. Obviously nothing to say about TikTok because the Canadian government banned me. Pathetic pussies. Shows that they're losing the fight, though. The fact that they're banning people does in a way show that they're losing. Like, join, become a member. Really appreciate everybody who's become a member. Grab some gear. Again, everybody who supports me, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. We are going to win this battle, but it's going to be a hell of a battle.